Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast for nonprofit leaders, mission-driven creatives, and social entrepreneurs. Get ready to stop dreaming and start doing. Here, ideas become action. We prioritize purpose and profit. You ready? Let's go. Today, I'm sharing a portion of my brand new workshop, Get Noticed, Get Funded. This workshop is really demystifying influencer marketing and why every single nonprofit needs to start this strategy yesterday. If not yesterday, today. So I go through so many of the opportunities that you're missing out on, how to stand out online, on social media, or on your preferred platform, and relationship building. Really excited to share this with you. If you need help kickstarting your social street team and showing up online and starting that relationship building, I want to invite you to join Amplify Social Impact. That is my signature course where I show you exactly how to do it. All right, enjoy. So let me give you the roadmap for today. Today, we're going to go over 3 key points. The first point is just how it works. What is influencer marketing? How it works? Why I want you to take advantage of this immediately. I'm going to share with you case studies, particularly one that I've never shared before. And as it was happening in real time, I was like, screenshot, I've got to teach you this. So I'm really excited to share these case studies with you today. And I'm also going to share with you this idea of a quick start. So how do you create this very, very quickly? How can you implement a street team? How can you start working with digital ambassadors in less than 30 days? Because I suspect that one of the things that keeps organizations stuck is this idea of like, I don't have time, or it's too hard, or maybe in a few more months or something like that. So I'm going to share that process with you. I'm also going to talk about my course, Amplify Social Impact, because we're opening doors for that today. So you're going to hear some really exciting announcements along the way about that. So here's what you can expect. I usually try and keep these about an hour. However, I have blocked off extra time. So if we run over, we run over. If we have questions, if we have more case studies, just anything like that, I want you to know that I'm here to go over, and I want to make sure you get everything you need. So an hour to 90 minutes, use the chat. It is definitely one of those, you get out what you put in. So if you are washing dishes and multitasking, or reading emails and multitasking, you're going to lose a lot of this. So stay with me as best you can, okay? And then, as I said, some really fun announcements at the end. So if you're new here, who here is new to me? If you're new to me, just type in like a new in the chat so I know. I'm Christina Edwards. I'm a coach, business and marketing expert. I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. And what I saw in creating an agency and building a consulting and coaching practice is this idea of this is working over here for the for-profit sector. And why aren't nonprofits using this? Why aren't social entrepreneurs doing this? So how do I distill what's working over here and work in a way for an applicable for smaller budgets, for smaller team sizes? And that disconnect, like getting through that through line, is really my sweet spot. And I love what I do. I said powered by iced coffee because I am, as you can see right here. And I value a positive mindset, and what I call daring action. If you work with me, these workshops, these programs, I'm going to push you. The entire point is that we ditch rear view mirror thinking and we start going, okay, what is it I want and what pushes me forward to get there? And balance, because one of the things I've learned since doing this since 2007 is, we're going to talk about that today, is I know how to work 80-hour weeks. I know how to grind. That is not what I want to do. And that is not what I want for you either. So everything I'm showing you today is with the goal that we can actually dial down your workload and kind of automate, systematize, and get people working with you. Okay, sound good? How does that feel for everyone? I see some nodding. Does that feel good for everybody? Okay, cool. So let me tell you about Olivia and Greta. Olivia is always overwhelmed. Olivia is on the roller coaster. It might be a marketing roller coaster. It might be a fundraising roller coaster, but it is a roller coaster, and I have been her. This is where 70, 80-hour work weeks become this weird badge of honor, where you're like, oh, I did that, and I'm doing it again, and I'm grinding. Who here is like, yeah, I'm kind of an Olivia. That sounds, yeah, type in the chat if you are. And you feel like you're just going from one thing to another, to another, to another, to another. The minute that campaign ends, you're on to the next. Frankly, before that campaign ends, you're already thinking, I've gotta. Yes, definitely Olivia. I feel like I'm always an Olivia, no matter what life I'm living. Yeah, you kind of take that with you. Even if you change careers, you take that with you, because when I first began my first business in 2007, this wasn't my career, but I knew how to work 3 jobs. I knew how to grind. Like, I knew that. And I took that mentality into my second career. And it wasn't until, I would say, the past maybe 5 years that I was like, I'm in this world on purpose, with purpose, and let me design it in a way that feels much better. So let me tell you about Greta. I think the stair step from Olivia is Greta, or there could be a little bit of both. Greta is a master Googler. I call her Greta the Googler. She is resourceful. She's going to figure it out. If there is something that she's got an idea on, she's like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to Google my way there. There's a YouTube video. I'm going to ask a group. I'm going to figure it out. It is DIY city. And you're resourceful. Like, it's a good piece to have. It's a good trait to have, but it also has some downsides. So who here is Greta, where you're like, instead of investing in something, or instead of, investing in anything, I'm just going to DIY all of it. Okay. I see sometimes an Olivia, sometimes a Greta, more of a Greta with relationship building. Yeah. Greta is like, she's handy, she's going to figure it out. The problem with Greta is that she's not letting anyone help her, because she's like, I got this, laser focus. It's me. I'll just figure it out. I'm not going to ask for help. Yeah. Yeah. Danny says, you should see all my DIY in progress. Yeah, exactly. So many DIYs. I think it's the inner entrepreneur in us. I think it's the inner, like, I don't want to bother somebody else. It also is for organizations who constantly hear the budget. They're like, well, this is the only way. I have to be Greta the Googler because there's just a budget constraint. Right. Yeah. Okay. This is the outcome of like Greta and Olivia. So it's sad. This is a pie chart, and 90% of the time, and this is really what I see, if you're a marketer or in any sort of online fundraising space, this is the pie chart that I'm using. Okay. So what I see is you're spending about 90% of your pie on what I'm calling content creation. This is just figuring out what the content is, creating the designs, sourcing the images, creating the captions, scheduling the posts. It is figuring out how to do reels, because suddenly you need to do that. It's maybe starting a TikTok because suddenly you need to do that. It's all of the content creation. And then a little tiny piece is left, and that's 10%. And I'm calling that outreach or partnerships. That's you getting away from the screen, or getting away from the content creation mode and taking that hat off and doing something else, active outreach. So all that's left when you're being Greta and you're being Olivia is that little 10%. And it's really, really stressful. And the worst part of it is that the ROI just isn't there. And that is something that it's like a few years ago, I had a hunch on it, and then it just increases and increases and increases. I don't want you to spend more time creating social content. That's not what I want you to get out of today. I actually want you to spend less time. So let's flip it on its head a little bit. This is an example of a really simple pie chart of what I would like you to do instead. Okay. I would actually like you to spend about 20% of your time creating social content. So much, much less. I want you to systematize it. I want you to batch it. I want you to think about spending and thinking about your social content much less of the time. Like it is something you do, but boy, are there more important, more revenue generating activities. That's how we turn it on its head. That might even sound a little bit where you're like, ooh, how do I do that? That sounds a little controversial, a little scary, And the idea is that you're spending less time both creating and consuming social media. And instead, you're freeing up your time for outreach, for partnerships, leveraging third-party endorsements, leveraging other people's audiences, which we're going to talk about today, and new projects. One of the things that I think so many organizations get stuck in is they forget that you guys are supposed to dream. Like you're supposed to be creative and you're supposed to ideate and you're not supposed to just replicate what you did last year, the year before and the year before, and just regurgitate it in a slightly different way for me this year. Like that new projects, giving yourself space to actually come up with a new project. And it doesn't mean like, oh, you're developing a new program. It just means simply that you're giving yourself space to say, how do I reimagine this campaign? How do I reimagine this? Or what would be really cool? Or what am I seeing the through line of what my donors or supporters want and what sounds new and interesting for me to try? It's like, you're not giving yourself that space. So how does this version sound? Tell me in the chat if you're like, okay, I'm listening, I'm open. So we're going to go back here and I want to ask you, you can tell me this in the chat. You already kind of told me, do you feel like you're a little bit more of an Olivia or a Greta or what in between? Okay, I'm seeing yes, loving the pie chart. Yeah, so it's like where we want to be. Many of us feel like we're stuck in the Olivia land and the Greta land. And like I said, I've been there too. So yeah, Leslie says, tell me more. I'm open to change. He says, yes. Okay. Simon's amazed. Yes. So we're going to turn it on its head today. So today is all about Portia with a plan. Okay. Portia is our beacon, our aspiration of where we want to go. Portia takes a lunch every day. Portia does not eat in front of a screen while answering emails. Who is guilty of that? Yeah. Portia goes and maybe she eats lunch with her friends and she like leaves the office or leaves the Zoom screen. I know. Yeah. Yes. Ouch. Yeah, exactly. Portia she believes in a couple of different things. She believes both in personal and professional growth, and she prioritizes both. The caveat to Portia is that she's willing to try new things. She is daring. She is willing to try new marketing campaigns, new fundraisers. She's willing to fail. She's willing to hear some no's to get to the yeses. And that's how she gets that balance because it's pushing her forward outside of the box. Circle friend says, I work with Portia. Awesome. Yeah. So there's probably a Portia in your life, right? You can think of her today. Okay. So we're going to unlock. Are we ready? Are you ready to unlock your inner Portia? We're going to find her. We're going to discover her today. I'm going to give you a couple of ways that you can unlock that inner Portia today so that you can figure out, what is it that I need to do to let go of the Greta and the Olivias in my life and find that person who is ready to really take some action. Okay. So we're going to talk about this 30-day quick start. And what you're going to learn today is really, I want you to leave today, not with Christina gave me 1,000 different ideas and they're going to take 6 to 12 months to do. And so I'm not going to do any of them. We're not going to do that. I want you to just have laser focus on what can I do in 30 days? Okay. What is the 30-day quick start version of this? Okay. You can, every single organization, some of you I know, some of you are familiar faces, some of you I was peeking around at. Every single one of you is capable of implementing what I'm going to show you today. It takes two things. It takes courage and it takes decisive action. So you have to just be willing to do both. And as I said, I will share a couple of special bonuses at the end. So you won't miss those. Stay all the way to the end. Okay. So tell me if this sounds familiar. You can just type in a yes in the chat if this sounds like you're frustrated, burned out, but you actually still believe in your mission. Like that's kind of the interesting piece is that many of you come to these workshops feeling that frustration, feeling that overwhelm, but you're like, hang on, I'm still doing this. I'm still getting out of bed every day doing this. I'm still doing the hardest work. And there's got to be another way. Like okay, I see a lot of yeses in the chat. Like something's got to give. Yeah. But you're frustrated because you're like, why are we not growing fast enough? Yes. And maybe you've tried fundraising on social media before, but engagement was non-existent. Who here has had a fundraiser on social media, any sort of online fundraiser, and you're like, that was a dud. Like that was a dud. And it feels like crickets. I always say that. Okay. Yeah. I see some hands raised. Yes. I always say that you feel like the same 3 people are commenting on your posts. It's like your best friend, your aunt, and your one favorite volunteer. Like I get it. It is frustrating. And it's like, there has to be a better way, but what is that way? Or maybe your organization, we see this a lot in more established organizations. They're very resistant to trying new things. You come to them and you're like, I got an idea. We should do this. And it's a really hard sell, or you just hear the no's, or you just hear, well, this isn't how we do it. Like if that's you, yeah, I hear you. And what I want to give you today is a way to position and pitch it to leadership. So it's a hell yes. Okay. Yeah. Danny says, yes, the friends and the aunt. Yeah. Like we got to love our aunt. I love Mattia. I can always count on her for a thumbs up. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So we see the CEO doesn't like GIFs. Yeah. Everybody's like, well, our flavor is different. Natalie says, yes, that's been me. There's so much fun in trying something new, frustrated when you meet with the resistance. Exactly. Okay. This is one of the things that I see a lot of people say to me, and this is kind of what you're starting to say in the chat. Maybe you believe some of these myths. Maybe these are some of the things that you're hearing from leadership. My goal today is a couple of different things. One is, do you really, really, really actually have to get everybody to agree with you to try it? Like that would be interesting. Like I'm not, if you're pitching them an idea, I'm not trying to get you fired. If you're pitching an idea and they don't necessarily see it, but you see it, can you try it? Maybe it's just, would you be willing for me to try this? And if they're like, listen, it's a brand standard, it's a no, fine. However, if they're like, you know what, go forth, it's your project. If you want to try it, try it. Like sometimes part of it is we're hearing no because they're not saying, I'm as excited as you are, Christina. We have to be excited for ourselves. We have to be Portia with a plan. We believe in it first. And then when we start seeing some traction, people are like, oh my God, what are you doing? How can I help? So Portia with a plan is starting even though she hasn't gotten buy-in from everybody else. And I know we have some solopreneur founders, some teams of one. So this innately on here. You don't even have to sell it to anyone because you're a team of one. The only person you have to do is sell it to yourself. Okay. Yes, we are willing to try anything to explain later. Love it. Okay. First of all, what are we looking at? Type in the chat if you know what we're looking at. Tell me what this image is. I had this thought as I was developing this training and I was like, yes, Waldo, where's Waldo? So this is an image of where's Waldo on the beach. And I was like, this is what it feels like. This is what it feels like online. It feels like your organization is wearing a red and white striped hat and a red and white striped shirt in a sea of beachgoers who are also on red and white blankets and red and white. Like it's impossible. And no wonder we feel so frustrated, right? No wonder. My son got one of these books for Christmas a few years back, and it is humbling to find Waldo. Just humbling to find him. It's not as easy as you think. And so my goal today is to get you to take off the stripes and put on something else that is going to help you stand out. And if anything, the way that I want you to think about it today is, let's imagine you're going to put on purple polka dots instead. I don't want you to just put on purple polka dots. I want you and like 20 other people to put on purple polka dots, because if we were staring at an image that had a whole group over here of just people in purple polka dots, boom, we'd find you right away, right? So that's the point. That's the shift we're going to make today. And that's the power of this idea of a social street team that I teach and amplify social impact. Okay. Does that sound good? Yeah, I see. Has anyone found him yet? Danny, I took a moment and I was like, let me see if I can find him. As I said, it was very humbling and I gave up. It's hard. Okay. So let me show you this idea of one of the biggest mistakes that so many organizations make. And I tried to visualize it here. So basically this idea of these are your followers, your fans on the bottom. These are the people in your world, the subscribers on your email list. Everybody who follows, likes, subscribes to your content, okay? Donors, volunteers, just people hanging out, right? What we're doing, and this is that pie chart way back when, earlier on in the slides, we're talking at people. We are literally creating content and we're like, here, let me spoon feed it to you, except many of them are not even seeing the content because of the algorithm, just a small portion is. But really what we're doing is like we're megaphoning at them. Okay. That is not how your organization grows. Okay. This is that idea of like, we're just creating more content. You're spending your day doing this and you're hoping to see the results. If this sounds familiar to you, type a 1 in the chat. If you follow what I'm saying. Okay, awesome. See some ones. Okay. Here's the problem with this. You're avoiding lead generation and the fastest way to grow with this idea. Okay. When you just do this megaphone talking at people, it is the slowest way for your organization to grow. Okay. When I say lead generation, I just mean get more followers, get more donors, get more subscribers, get more volunteers, get more humans advocating for your organization. So we're going to go over next how influencer marketing works and some next steps. Okay. First of all, I want to define influencer marketing. And really first, I'm going to step back and just define an influencer or to influence. Okay. So to influence is simply to cause someone to change a behavior, belief, or opinion, or to cause something to be changed. Like we have all been influenced to do something because somebody else endorsed it, somebody else we believe and trust, right? Whether it's a lipstick, whether it's AirPods, whether it's a microphone, it's something. To buy a book, oh my gosh, how many books have I bought because somebody said you've got to read this book, right? And they didn't say it personally to me, they said it on Instagram stories, okay? It is a trusted endorsement. And here's why I love influencer marketing. It is so much more powerful than a Facebook ad or a billboard that you would drive by and see, because the billboard and the Facebook ad are not trusted endorsements, okay? That is not my friend Muriel saying, Christina, you got to read this book. This book is really good. A billboard is saying, does anyone know about this book and buy this book? Okay. Now advertising is great and awesome, but there's a difference there because you're not getting that third-party endorsement. Okay. You with me? Okay. So this is a very, very simple sales funnel. Hopefully not overwhelming you too much on the funnel, but I just want to know, I want you to get the idea of how a funnel works and why it's so important. Because if you have said to yourself or to me before, I wish we had more donors, I wish we had more supporters, I wish we could get out of this revenue plateau, you have a lead gen problem. So that is top of funnel. Okay, you with me? So top of funnel is just people getting into your world, figuring out what it is you do. People can get into your world and get at the top of that funnel in a lot of different ways. They can get into it through that ad, through that billboard, through Facebook or Google AdWords, something like that. They can get in organically through social media, lots of different ways. They go through this funnel process of hearing about your organization. That's the know phase. Liking it. Ooh, that's interesting. I kind of believe in what they do. Trusting it. Wow, I see. They really have a solution to this problem. I believe in their impact. And then ultimately taking action, opening their wallets, making a donation, right? Some sort of sale happens. Yeah, you with me? The best thing about this funnel is that this can happen very quickly, this lead gen process, or it can happen slowly. Like both are true. So I want to give you this and know that I have gone through many, many funnels in my life where I go from the awareness phase to all the way trust and then open my wallet phase in minutes. Okay, we can do that very, very quickly. So we all see the common goal. We see how it works. Type a 1 in the chat if you're like, all right, I'm with you. Okay. All right, with me. Cool. So let's talk about this concept of a social street team. Okay, this is my concept of a social street team. So I know we've got some new folks here, and I'll tell you how I came up with it. Many, many years ago, I worked for a rock venue. Okay, when I worked for this rock venue, it was a pretty large venue, a couple thousand capacity. And if we had a show coming up and ticket sales were low, we had a problem. Okay, the artist does not want to go on stage when there's like 300 people in the crowd and a bunch of empty seats. That is not fun for the artist. And it's actually not fun for the attendees, right? It's like not that experience pre-COVID, at least, that we want. Like we want that packed house, right? So we would call the street team, and the street team was a group of grassroots ambassadors who advocated for the show. And we would tell them, this is the concert happening. This is their target audience. Here's where they like to go hang out in our city. Go forth, bring some flyers, tell them about it. And inevitably, we would see a huge pop of ticket sales and what would have been just a really sad little show, or a show that may even have gotten canceled, right? That show could have gotten canceled with that kind of attendance numbers. Ended up being a full house. So this concept of a street team is we're taking that and we're making it digital. Okay, we're making it fun, we're making it digital, we're making it simple. And we are saying, let's get your organization a street team of vocal advocates, influencers who have their own funnels, who have their own audiences, right? Other people besides you on that pie chart creating content for content's sake. No, let's get some other people to advocate for you. So who should be on your street team? So you get to pick, and we're going to talk about some really cool examples, but essentially they are advocates, champions, volunteers, influencers. Okay. So I want you to get out of this today. Influencers can be quote unquote celebrities. 100%. They could be either celebrities or people who have a very large following online. You know, those people on Instagram with, 500,000 followers, they can be those are influencers. But let me tell you, there's so much magic from somebody who has 1,500 followers who endorses you and is part of your street team. Okay. It is both. Okay. This is how you connect with people outside your bubble. And here's what happens. So you remember that version we had before. This is how we turn it on its head. Okay. So instead of just talking at your followers, we're actually having your followers talk about you on their networks. You with me? If you're like, okay, I'm with you, Christina, give me another one in the chat. So that's the difference. We are not just blasting, content 7 days a week from your organization's platforms. Instead, let's have a group of social street teamers blast content on their own networks, where they like to hang out and talk about your organization. Okay. This gets you out of content creation mode, right? This gets you away from those Olivia's 80-hour work week. Oh, this is how you leverage other people's audiences. Okay. Awesome. This is the idea of leveraging endorsements and social proof in your favor so that you're not the billboard, you're not the Facebook ad, you're not a Google ad, right? You're getting the endorsements from people who actually believe in what you do. So an example of that is, this is Elena. She is a best-selling author. She here in her Instagram profile has 3 organizations that she is a social street teamer for. Okay. She puts it right there in her profile. These are the organizations that matter to me. And what I love about this is that you can see here the deep connection she has with the organizations. So this is not the organization saying, hey, post this stuff on your platform, Elena. Instead, she's like, oh my God, I love what you do. I want to work with you. I want to champion what you do. This is a win-win for both sides. Okay. There's a massive benefit for both. So I want to know in the chat, what would it feel like just to have 1 or 2 or 3 Elenas in your world? So here she has 267,000 followers on Instagram, to give you an idea of her reach. Yes. Yeah, dating doesn't get more Auntie and Tias. Yeah, we're getting outside of Tias and we're moving on. Yes, love that. How would that feel? Tell me in the chat. And I also want to take a second to know who here has tried a social street team. Who here, I know a few people have, but who here, if you have and you're like, oh, it didn't work, or I don't know, or we got stuck, tell me. Okay, I see some I haves. And if you have, okay. And if you haven't and are curious, you can tell us that as well. Okay. Love it. We see some excited we haves. Yes. So the mistake number 1 that I'm seeing is this idea of relying on your own social content to grow. Period. If I did this in my business and said, let me just send out emails and let me just send out social posts and expect my own business to grow, it would not. At the very, very best, it would stay plateau. Okay. All right. Dominique says, I haven't, but I'm going to start now. Yes. Okay. Elaine says, trying to get an influencer posting about us. All right. We're going to talk more about that, Elaine. Like, how does that work? Okay. One caveat I want to give you, and I'm going to show you some examples in a bit. This is not just about Instagram. You get to pick your platform. Your influencers get to pick their platforms too. So I'm showing you a couple of different examples today, but go ahead and put that in your head that it does not have to be Instagram specific. Okay. So here's an example too. I want to just close the loop of what this looks like. This is Elena, just showed it to her. This is what a street teamer's post looks like in real life. Here she is talking about one of the organizations that she works with, Girls on Fire. She even offers to be a personal match for a fundraiser and has a specific call to action. Beautiful. Love it. Win-win. Okay. And I also want to point out too, is this post is fairly recent. Elena has been working with these organizations for years. These are not one-off. Okay. Somebody doesn't just join your street team and then hop off. We're going to talk also more about that. All right. Yay, Rebecca. Yes. Rebecca says she took it in 2020. I cannot believe it's been that so long. Yes. You rocked it. We're going to talk about some really fun case studies. Okay. So I'm going to show you one that you've never seen before that even I was like, oh my God. But first, I want to give you this. The ROI of influencer marketing exceeds 5x of every dollar spent. So what we're talking about today is not actually you paying influencers, okay? This stat is specifically for the for-profit world, but I wanted you to see it, okay? So for example, if, this chapstick brand decides to partner with an influencer and say, hey, influencers, will you post about this? And they spend money, they pay them, they'll see 5x return. Okay. That's a beautiful thing. For you, we're doing this in kind because we want Elena, who naturally has a heart for your mission, wants to align with your mission. We want the Elenas of the world to partner with you and do it in kind. And you can see there's a lot of benefit for her as well. She wants to use her platform for good. We have the data on that. Like we have the stats, but these people who are influencers who have huge engaged audiences do not only just want to talk about the same, I don't know, new makeup that's coming out or new perfume, right? They actually want to use their platform for good, but no one's asking them. Very few people are asking them. All right, we're going to do another pop quiz. Does anyone know who this is? If you do, you can type it in the chat. Simon says Christina's sessions are always game changers. Simon, you know I love it when you can attend live. Yay. All right. Most of you, I'm going to guess, don't know who this is in the on the screen, and that's okay. This person is not in the nonprofit world, so it's okay if you don't. But I figured I would give you a pop quiz and see if anyone did. Okay. I kind of love that. Okay. One person got it. Yes. So we're going to call her Portia with a plan for now. You got it, Andy. Yes. So this person is Portia with a plan, and yes, you got it. We'll get to our mystery person here in a second, but I want to show you how this idea of your own content and a social street team works together. Because don't forget, I'm not saying close down your own content and stop doing your own content. I do want you to still do that. I want you to run really beautiful email and online social media campaigns. I want that. But I want you to see the importance of both on this diagram here. So you've got your street team talking about your organization. You still have your own content because the two work really importantly together. Because if I pitch an influencer and say, hey, will you become part of our street team for our nonprofit? And then they go check out your Instagram page and there is nothing on there, or the last thing that was on there is in 2019. They're probably going to say no because they have their own brand and business. So you want to make sure that they feel like, okay, this is a rocking and rolling operation that I trust. So both are important. So right here in the sweet spot where the two go together is where we see two things happen. We see your visibility grow because you're, again, leveraging other people's audiences. And we also see your revenue grow. Like the two go hand in hand. So that's what we're looking for. Okay. So another example here, I wanted to give you some examples of some ways that your social street team can advocate for your organization. So that might be on Instagram. It might be through email or text. One of the things that's really important here is we meet people where they are. If your social street teamer loves to write, like, I don't know, a weekly or monthly newsletter. I'm thinking of a foodie blogger in my area. I think she does a monthly newsletter. Don't make her go post on Facebook. Like, let her talk about your organization in her preferred platform. Maybe she's a TikToker. Maybe he's a TikToker. Let him go there. Like, you want to meet people where they are. And then this idea of podcast interviews. I think podcast interviews are really, really, what is the word? Underutilized by organizations and by street teamers. Okay. So we'll talk about this. There's a couple of ways you can do this. One is simply, so this is a slight twist on it, but you're leveraging you to get in front of people's audiences. And that might mean their podcast, their audience on their podcast. Okay. Plus, if you're a guest on their podcast, then they're going to probably talk about it in their email and talk about it on social, right? A lot of benefit there. So the difference here is being siloed off and being a team of one, or being an organization that talks about itself 24/7 versus having champions. Do you see the difference? If you see the difference and you're with me and you're excited, type a 1 in the chat. All right. All right, cool. We're back to our mystery guest, Portia with a Plan, AKA Amy Porterfield. So Amy Porterfield is a course creator. She teaches people, this is meta, she teaches people how to build courses. So here's what I like about her. I have not taken one of her programs, but she has a great podcast. I've been in her world for a little while. I've been aware of her, okay? And I love this because I'm not a super Amy evangelist. And boy, oh boy, could I not miss her social street team when they came out. Full court press a few weeks ago. I couldn't miss it. I was like, oh, wow, Amy's got a street team. Okay. So Google, just to give you an idea, Google says she's worth 13 million. She's very successful in what she does. Okay. So this is going to be our February 2023 case study. Okay. She had a book launch. So that was her campaign. That was her thing that she was trying to use her street team for. Okay. So she had a book launch coming out. And the day her book launched, I hopped on my, podcasts. I'm a podcast listener, and it was hilarious. I was like, okay, all of the podcasts I subscribed to had her on as a guest the same day. Boom, full court press, campaign launch. And she was talking about, different positioning. It was not the same interview, but she would be on with one person, and it was basically about her new book, right? So that day, I sort of guessed. I was like, wow, she's on 5 podcasts that I subscribe to. That's a lot. And my guess was, I bet and I kind of like dug around. I was like, I bet she did 15. I bet she was a guest on like 15 key podcasts. Okay. I also noticed another thing that happened. She was on a lot of stories and lives with her social street team. So she had her own content rocking and rolling. That happened. But she was also had her street teamers talking about Amy's new book is out today. I'm holding the book up and I'm on they're on their channels advocating for her. Thought leaders in her industry with aligned audiences. So here was my guess. My guess was, okay, I bet she did 15 podcast interviews, and I bet she had 15 street teamers talk about her book. I was so wrong. Okay. This is just 2 screenshots. I went over here to the tagged section here on the right. So this is just 2. This goes on for pages. We're on our Instagram profile. And what happened here is these are people who are influencers and what I'll call as ambassadors. They're still all part of her street team. These are people with 300 followers and 3 million followers holding her book up, talking about it. I mean, it was such a full court press that day. It was a glimpse on what's possible with a really great influencer and social street team in place. Okay. And then here's what happened. I think I'm going to say by 4 or 5 days later, boom, New York Times bestseller. And she revealed, and this blew my mind, she did 100+ podcast interviews, influencer posts, IG live. Like, the possibility of this is endless, but the outcome here is pretty inspirational. So here's the thing, first of all, is everybody like, oh my God. And what I love about this is it's not just IG. It's not just Facebook. It's not just one particular platform. Yeah. Okay. Leslie, you said what I wanted, what I hoped what I anticipated people were thinking. This is really cool. And this is overwhelming, right? Okay. Totally normal. Here's the thing. Here's what I want you to get out of that case study. We do not start at 100. We don't even need 100. We don't even need 100 to 10x your fundraising goal. We do not need 100. Okay. This isn't about you saying to yourself, yeah, she says, okay, this isn't about you saying to yourself, well, Amy, you just said Christina has a $13 million business. She clearly has a big team to run this program. She has more resources. She has more this. She's a unicorn. No, we're not doing that. This is to show you what's possible with a street team in place. What we are doing is this concept of MVP. The beginning of this, I told you to subscribe to my podcast. Episode 1, I dive into this idea of MVP. It's just simply minimum viable product. This is getting your beta street team, your first street team out the door from draft mode into live mode. We start with 3 people. We start with 5 people. And then it compounds. If you've ever started a savings account, when I was, I don't know, in my 20s, I started a retirement account, which is hilarious because I worked at the rock club. I had this lovely, it was a side note. I had this lovely cop he worked off duty as a cop at the rock club. And he used to sit there and tell me why I needed to start investing now. And I believed him. And he was like, you need to just start a retirement account. Just do it now. Just go with a little amount. And finally I did. And I still think about Bud. I'm like, if not for Bud, I wouldn't have started. But I got hung up on, I don't have more than a couple $100, to start this thing, I would have never started it. It's the same thing. I don't need to be on 100 podcasts. What if I'm on 2? What if I have a street team that's 5 people? I don't need 100 yet. It'll be great when I gets there and compounds. And it is much like a retirement account. When you do this the right way, it compounds over time, because what we do is we add on to your street team. Okay. We don't get people who say yes, and then we churn them out like one and done donors. No, it compounds. They stay in your world and your street team grows. You with me? How does that sound? Okay. Oh my gosh. Andy says, I'm recording 2 podcast episodes this week. Have to start somewhere. Yes. Yes. Okay. Perfect. So the second mistake that I'm seeing is that you're guessing. If you're like, yeah, this sounds good. And now you're thinking, let me guess my way into doing this. Let me guess my way into a street team, right? I'll Google my way there. I'll DIY my strategy. I am resourceful. I can figure this out. And maybe you can. I want to show you how to fast track it when you join Amplify Social Impact, because I will give you exactly what you need to do it in 30 days. Okay. What I see is people come to this and they say, oh, I've tried this, or, oh, I'm going to try it. They Google their way there. And then they have a campaign that sputters out. And then they're like, that's it. It didn't work. I'm done. Right. I don't want you to do that. Don't do that. If they say yes, when they say yes, I want you locked and loaded and ready to go and saying, great, here's the swipe copy. Here's the graphics. Here's everything you need. Here's the plan, right? We are not asking them to DIY anything. The 5th step, launch, steward, debrief. So launch is start the campaign, give them what they need. Steward, tell them thank you. Let them be seen, give them shout outs, and then debrief. The debrief is really an internal process of just making sure that you write down what worked, what didn't, what you want to do different next time. You guys, this is really simple. This is very, very simple and doable. Okay. So let's look at some examples. Okay. I want to read in the chat really quick. So Paige says, is there a time sensitive aspect to this? Like Amy had everyone post on the same day, but it's for an event. So should the street team post a week out? So one of the things Amy did, and she probably had to do this, is she had, that I could find, maybe 15 podcasts at least launch on the same day. But she did have, in the lead up, I call this kind of the warm up phase, she did have those guest podcasts happen leading up to it. So the buzz was already buzzing, and that's okay. If our street teamer says, you know what, I can't do it that week because I have X, Y, and Z, amazing. They can do it the week before or the week after. So I love like a big launch day, full court press, and you can also help drum up buzz ahead of time. Okay. So this is an example of a street team. Here on the right are 2 street teamers. You can see here, I chose these on purpose. These are small micro influencers, around 1,000 followers each, who are fundraising and advocating for an organization here in Atlanta. Okay. This works for organizations of every size. This is the outcome of that. Just one of their posts. These street teamers, they fundraise for them often. Okay. This is another one. I've showed you this potentially before. You've seen this as a Sandra Bakehouse. She's such a great example. I took a screenshot of this on the right so you could see her feed is cakes. Guess what she's fundraising for? Clean drinking water. Her feed is cake. She's a baker. So do not tell yourself my niche is special and different and I can't have a street team. Yes, you can. And this particular influencer is a very, very vocal, wildly passionate advocate for charity water. Okay. And one of the reasons why I bet she is because Charity Water does a really nice job of stewarding her. telling her thank you, showing her like it's not that one-way conversation. This will be the norm in the sector at some point soon. I used to say in 5 years. I don't know. I hope this catches on sooner, because the only thing that's hurting is everybody's revenue by not using Social Street Team. So here an example of 2 different posts that she did, fundraising. This one on the right is from today. I found it this morning. She is fundraising today for this organization. Like, come on, and she also said here, you crazy awesome kids have already raised $8,000. It sounds like her goal was $1,500. Like, come on. So good. But remember, minimum viable. We start from somewhere. We start with 3 people. We start with 5 people. We start with 1 person, okay? This compounds over time. You don't keep resetting at 0. This is another one here. This is an example of a lifestyle blogger. She regularly works with this diaper bank, okay? A great social street teamer in action. All right, same thing. This idea of, now we're building upon this idea of your street team talking and advocating for your organization. And also in the yellow, you are still creating your own content. You are still nurturing those relationships. It's just a lot less, right? It's just not 7 days a week. This is an example of a runner. Like this is what I love about Instagram and really social media. There's a niche for everything. There is an influencer for everything. You just have to figure out that alignment. Okay. So Dave's a runner, and he is also fundraising here for charity water. And you might say to yourself, Christina, why do you have so many charity water examples? And that is because charity water is rocking and rolling with the social street team. They're making it easy. They're making it a community. They're making it very, very accessible, right? And remember, these organizations or these influencers want to align with these organizations. David has 44,000 followers. It sounds like he's a mountain runner. And he's like, how do I use these 44,000 followers, not only to cheer me on and make me feel good when I'm running these trails and get sponsors and things like that, but also to make the world and make something that I care about better. Okay. I also want to show you this. This is an example here of me searching in the podcast feed, Amy Porterfield. And this will speak to the timing piece too, because you'll see a lot of episodes dropped February 21st and 22nd. They're all called different things, right? Not even 1 or 2 of them was really funny. Didn't even have Amy's name in the title. And then I pressed play and it was like, our guest today is Amy Porterfield. Like, I mean, she was just everywhere. But I love this because I don't subscribe to any of these podcasts. Right? So I love that. I love seeing these other audiences that exist in the internet, and that people are just like, boom, they're hearing about Amy. They're hearing about her book. They're hearing about your organization. They would have never otherwise been introduced. So you can use this on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, YouTubers. I have a YouTuber coming on my podcast. We already did the interview. She's like 10,000 followers, or subscribers. Her partner has, I think, 100. I mean, we haven't even talked about YouTubers. Like, wherever you want to hang out, any online space is perfect for this. And Rebecca's here. You've worked with restaurants. Like, it doesn't even have to be 1-to-1. You can reach out to small businesses. You get to pick. There are no rules. Okay. There are no rules. So the next mistake that I'm seeing is that you're guessing who should be on your social street team versus creating aligned matches. This can feel like the trickiest part is like, okay, but we do this. So how do we find aligned matches who are influencers, right? And I can help you with that. So I want to go over the success formula. We're going to talk about Amplify Social Impact here in a second, but we'll go over a couple of quick other takeaways, and I'll also look at the questions. Visibility plus influence equals growth. That's it. We need to raise your visibility. That means people at top of funnel, so they can know about you. That is the awareness phase. Influence is, my friend Muriel said I should check this out. She believes in this organization. Okay, well, I believe in my friend. Let me check this out. That equals growth. Growth can be revenue. Growth can be followers. You get to decide what that call to action is. The caveat here is make it easy. If it is hard, if it feels like this person is joining a committee or a board, you've lost them. Okay, that brings us to mistake number 4, over asking your street team. This is not how it compounds. This is how we see churn. Okay. So This is the difference. It should not feel like Sandra Breakhouse is suddenly a board member at Charity Water, or Elena is suddenly a board member, a committee member at her organization of choice. This should be like you're going out to eat and you are ordering something off the menu versus I'm showing up at your house with a bag of groceries, handing them to you, telling you, go cook us something, right? No, we want to give them a swipeable toolkit that has everything that they need in it, everything they need, so they can cut and paste verbiage and messaging. They can grab a graphic or a photo if they want it, and that are rolling on and off a few times a year. So I see this question: how often do you recommend asking the street team to post for you before specific campaigns like Giving Tuesday a few times a year? Yeah. Here's what I would love. A couple times a year, yes. I'd say once a quarter feels good to me, to where it doesn't feel like too much. That's a good base. The second thing is, I would love for your organization, everyone on here, to end up with a street team that almost has like subgroups, if that makes sense. Like we've got the big street team that we do for Giving Tuesday. And then we got our spring street team because they love that marathon we do. So I got my spring street teamers and they're a little smaller. Or I've got my, do you know what I mean? Like there's little pockets of them, because you may have somebody like Elena may be like, I'll street team whenever you want. And you may have somebody else who's like, you know what? And you may even ask them, survey them, how many times a year feels good. But I would not make it too much more. They need at least a month in between. I'd say 4 to 6 times a year. That feels good. But if you say, well, I have a need that is more than 4 times a year, then I say, let's build your street team out, right? And let's have more. Okay. How's everyone feeling? Are we ready? I see this feels really powerful to have multiple teams all ready to support you in various points throughout the year. Exactly. And that's kind of how I run my own business. It's like, I'm your test. Like I do this myself, right? And so the way that I've built my business is very similar to this, is showing up on other people's podcasts, is relationship building, is getting in front of other audiences. Yeah. Okay. I see some yay, loving this. Awesome. Okay. So this is my goal for you. We're going from siloed to more and more champions, and then it grows over time. It compounds over time. Okay. Here's what I want to get through is making the plan is not the same as doing the plan. I know we've been on a lot of webinars. I know that webinar fatigue is real. I also know that it can feel like this moment of, okay, I think I know what to do. And then you get off the webinar, you get 16 emails in your inbox, and that was it, right? That's why I have a system and a plan for you. That's inside of Amplify Social Impact. So I'm going to take some time. I'm going to go over this with you today. I'm going to go over some course updates. I'm going to talk about what's in it and some fun bonuses as well. So this is a completely self-studied course. So when you join, you get instant access to the video modules, you get audio trainings, video trainings. You also get swipe copies. So if you're saying to yourself, here are the couple points where people usually get stuck, is how do I find my influencers? What do I say to them? And then if they say yes, what do I say to them then? There are 2 points in the process where you're like, okay, I'm supposed to say something to them. Like, what do I say? Right. So I help you through that. The other piece is, and the reason why I think we've had people who are, of course, EDs, fundraisers, development, marketers, comms, program directors, board members. I mean, we have consultants join, is this idea of a collaborative content calendar, right? So you can sync up everybody together and you actually start getting everybody on board together, right? I'm going to walk you through the modules. So module 1 is the branding launchpad. And I think module 1 is most important if you are going to pitch influencers and street teamers from zero, and you actually haven't crafted a unique brand voice that sounds like compelling and interesting, right? Then it's going to be really hard for somebody to say yes. Module 2 is all about campaigns that drive social action. So getting people to click the button to do the thing. Module 3 is where people usually jump right in. That's the module about the social street team. I teach you everything you need to know there. Module 4 is our influencer marketing for impact. This is deepening that work and giving you a couple of templates that are new. I'm adding that in April. Okay, so that is coming. So this is actually going to be 7 modules. Okay. Module 5 is all about Instagram and Facebook mastery. Module 6 is the campaign launch. That's 0 to launch in 4 weeks using my content calendar. Module 7 is the post-run stretch. We did all of this work. Now, how do we retain our donors, our customers, our supporters, right? So that's that retention piece. So you'll be able to finally get out of plateaus. You will be able to stop being so siloed off. You will be able to hopefully get some time back to ideate, right? To create and start having this vocal group to help raise that awareness, raise that visibility when you go to fundraise. Just like Rebecca. Rebecca shares she 5X'd her Giving Tuesday goal in using this exact process, okay? I'm going to share some bonuses with you. So we're actually adding something new. We're doing live quarterly planning sessions. And the reason why we're doing this is this idea of feeling like one campaign almost either butts up against the next, or there's just no breathing room. So I'm like, let's plan these together. So we will have live quarterly planning sessions. You can come to the sessions not prepared. You can come to the sessions prepared and have some ideas, and we can go through them together so you can plan the next quarter, okay? The next thing that we have is our Giving Tuesday workshop. That's been in there. That's a popular bonus. We also have our private Facebook community group. This is great to ask questions, share wins, be accountable. We also have our masterclass replay, 100K in 45 days. That's very inspiring and on there. The way that an ED raised 100K in 45 days in a hybrid fundraiser. I actually I've never done this before, but I figured why not? This sounds fun. I'm doing an action taker bonus. So if you join today, we'll go in and I'm going to tinker around and look at your organization and send you a curated audience list of ideal niches, sectors, and platforms for you to start doing some social street team outreach. Okay. So I will help you with that. And then this is the other piece, because this idea of a 30-day quick start and experiencing a win in 30 days is really important to me. So in mid-April, we're kicking this off with 4 weeks of what I'm calling all outreach genius. If you're in development, if you're on here and you're in marketing, but you have a team member in development, send them to this class. Okay. So we're kicking it off with this masterclass that is called How to Say It, because one of the things that I think we get stuck on is, the thing you need to say, but you sound all squirmy and salesy and weird, and you're not sure how to come across as you. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about prospecting. We're also going to talk about outreach. The whole point is being a magnet for yeses. So it's 4 weeks. We'll meet live once a week. You get a ticket to that entire outreach genius when you join. I ran this as a 5-week class. A 5-day class a while back. And we actually had one person go from 10K gift to 125K from one donor taking this class, right? This is a mind-blowing class. It has been so fun. And so we're doubling down on that momentum together. So ideal for anyone in development, in comms, your ED should attend. It's a good class. We have a painful bonus. You can steal my thank you letter template when you join. And I'm going to share a couple other testimonials. If you have questions, go ahead and type them in the chat. I will also share the link here in a second. Let me pop that in right here. Okay. Bruce says this course far exceeded my expectations. We got our money's worth plus. He was able to start a street team, and he is a religious organization, so a faith-based organization. This literally works for small shops. This works for large organizations. It works for organizations of every size, period. So let's talk about the investment. So I like to say hiring somebody to do this with you would be like a part-time salary, right? Hiring me as your coach or one-on-one coach starts at $5,500. The value of this is probably a bit higher now, but we have $6,500 on here. Module 1 is $2,000 in my private practice, okay? So today we have a special. So you can join. You can get $200 off for a limited time. Plus you get the bonuses, and you get that fast action bonus if you join today, okay, for $797. So let's go over. There's 2 ways that you can join. You can pay in full at $797, or there is a payment plan. So you can actually get started for $147 a month. Okay. So I just put that link in the chat. So if you have questions, please let me know. It will take you to the screen, which is the secure checkout. You can choose which version you would like, and you'll get instant access. The only thing that is coming is Outreach Genius, which is in mid-April. And then also module 7 will start dripping out in mid-April as well. You can also just start for $147 today. I wanted to make sure it was accessible. So that gets you instant access today. So let's talk about questions. Probably the number one thing I would hear is, I don't have time. The whole point of Outreach Genius is to quick start you there. Okay. The whole point of doing this is to make sure that you're actually spending less time on social media. Okay. The idea of online marketing is not a nice to have. It's a need to have. Like, this is not going away, but I want to make sure that you're doing it differently. And I want to make sure you're doing it in a way that makes you a lot of money. Okay. Remember, you get the 30-day quick start. And I'll also, let's see. Oh, okay. Here's a couple of other testimonials. So helpful. A game changer for life, helpful, refocusing, reflective, packed with great tips and actionable items, held in a framework that helps create a positive mindset shift. Yes. So remember, you could go another year feeling like Waldo, but don't. Like, that is not fun. Okay. You do not have to. I'd rather you be Portia with a plan. I'd rather you have a system like Melissa did, right? She's ready to start her street team because she has a system to do it. So I want to talk about who this program is for, some frequently asked questions, and then we'll wrap up. This program is for any nonprofit, any social entrepreneur or consultant who works in this sector. You must be willing to be daring and different and take action. It will be very, very hard, and you will struggle with this program if you just want to do what you did last year. Okay. So if you're unwilling to shake things up, it's going to be a hard place. Let's talk about some FAQs. One is, how much time do you have to spend on the course each week? It's up to you. So you could spend, I would say, an hour-ish per module to get through. Each module has lessons broken into bite-sized pieces. So you could take it over your lunch for a week or so and go through each of the modules that way. And then, of course, you want to add some time to implement. Okay. Do I get instant access to the whole course? Yes. With the exception of the newest influencer marketing module, you'll get 6 modules right away. So you can go through it right away. Jeannie, she went through it in a weekend, and then some people choose to drip it out. Like, it's your choice. What is your refund policy? All right, y'all, there are no refunds. So I want you to be 100% in. I want you to be 100% sure. I want you to have your own back. If you have any questions about it, just send me an email and we can talk it out. What can I expect from group coaching? So when we're on those quarterly sessions together, you can ask a mindset question. You can ask a tactical question where you're like, oh, how do I do X, Y, or Z? Or help me deep dive for this street teamer, or this person ghosted me. What do I do? You can get as tactical or as mindset or somewhere in between as you'd like. Can multiple team members have access to the course? Yes. So we do up to 3 seats. So we very regularly have, somebody in fundraising, somebody in marketing, and maybe an ED join, or a board member or something like that. Can I enroll at any time? You'll miss the bonuses and you'll miss the discount. Okay. All right. What questions do we have? That's what I got for you. I'm going to go through the chat here and see if I missed any questions from before. Thank you guys so much for staying on. I know we went a little bit over. All right. This feels powerful to have multiple teams all ready to support in various points of the year. Yes. How is a street team built for the first time? Okay, let's see. Let's see what Rebecca said. I started before raising money for food on Giving Tuesday, reaching out to restaurants who had already donated food to us. There we go. That's a warm prospect, a warm lead, right? And then also reached out to other local restaurants. So Rebecca saw that niche had an alignment with her organization. Really, really smart there. Okay. All right. Thanks so much. Lots to consider. Thank you. Okay. Danny says, what's the perk for influencers other than a feel-good moment? Let's talk more about that. Let's see. What's the perk for? So the perk is a couple of different things. There are many people, even like myself, who I want to give like every organization all the money. I can't give every organization all the money, right? Like, I want to. I really do. And there are a lot of people like me that just can't fund every organization ever. But what I can do very simply, very easily, that doesn't cost me a lot of time and doesn't cost me any money, is advocate and champion. I can become a street teamer, and I can do it easily, and I can feel seen by that organization. I can feel important. We see, especially with millennials and Gen Z, they literally want to be part of something. So in the way that, oh my gosh, baby boomers do, they write checks more for the sense of, what is the word? Like, it's just what they do. I don't know. I can't think of the exact word. Type it in if you know the word that I'm trying to say. The younger generations are doing it because they actually want to be part of community. Like if you were to create a Facebook group or a Slack channel or some sort of channel for them to go hang out, they probably would. Or you have these coffee meetings. Yeah. Obligation. That is the word. Yes. Obligation. Yes. So baby boomers are like, this is what I do. I support this charity, right? That's that obligation versus a 25-year-old that's like, hell no, I am a powerhouse, fierce advocate for this organization. And I'm gonna march for them. I'm gonna walk for them. I'm gonna be a part of it. It is that distinction. So they want to be seen, they want to be heard. And I think many of them too are also seeing that like social media can be amazing. And social media can also be not so amazing. And so when you're on a platform by choice and you're using it for a greater good, that's important. That feels good to a lot of people. So that's what's in it for them as well. Rebecca, you're awesome. Thank you. All right, I'm scrolling up. I think I got Paige's question. Anything else before we wrap up? I have a question. How can I implement this into my school district? Okay, so tell us more. I would need to know more about that. So I have worked with schools before, but what I'm thinking of is private schools where this would be more for endorsements and things like admissions and things like that. So send me an email. Let me know what you had in mind for that so I can tell you more. So yeah, I'm going to send out the replay and that will have everything you need on there. All right. All right, y'all. Come hang out. Come join us. We're going to do this. Next month is going to be, we're going to start in mid-April. You'll get access to the course right away. And then we'll start that 30-day quick start in mid-April. And let's make this a very, very powerful spring. Okay. How's everyone feeling? Type in the chat. Tell me how you're feeling now before we wrapped up. Okay. So let's see. You're pumped. Yes. Yay. Yes. Go write down a list of people that could be an aligned match for you. That could be, start writing that list. Yes, Rebecca says, excited for the masterclass. So lifted up, excited. Yes. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. I will see you next time. Bye. If you believe in the rule of reciprocity, just like I do, take a quick moment to rate and review this podcast. I would be so grateful. Tag me in a post on social media and let me know what you think over at Splendid Consulting. It helps this podcast show up in the feed of other change makers and social entrepreneurs just like you. Think you've reached out to everyone in your network? Are you out of ideas to get noticed and get funded? I hear you. That's why I'm giving you a chance to steal my prospect list. Yes, you can generate leads for your nonprofit or impact-driven business. Grab my mini training and list delivered to your inbox instantly. Go to splendidcourses.com/prospect.